All right, good morning, everyone, again. Thank you for coming back. We're about to kick off the startup pitches. We've got 5 startups who are going to pitch their solutions to you in a couple of minutes, so just bear with us, and we'll get going very shortly. But if you don't know, my name is Joel. I'm from the CodeCube team. We're hosting the House of Innovation here, which is in the whole boiler house. Behind us, we're doing speed dates with 24 startups and scale-ups that all have MarTech and AdTech solutions and technologies that can help you scale your marketing efforts, advertising efforts, wherever you're from. We're doing speed dates, so you can grab 5 minutes with a startup, sit down, and if the sparks fly, well, you can take it from there. And if you do speed dates, you can enter a prize draw to win a all-expenses-paid trip to a favorite band of your choice, European gig, and hotel and travel all included. So if that's not a good enough reason to do a speed date, then I don't know what is. So we've got 5 startups. We should get slides on the screen. Alan and we've got slides up. Bear with. And at any second now, we'll be introducing our first startup as we just get the slides sorted. Any tennis fans out there? No, you're one. We've got 1 tennis fan. 2. Who do you think is going to win the Wimbledon? You don't know. Alcaraz? Yeah, okay. Any Draper fans? No, you're nodding your head. Okay. Oh, is that a Draper fan? No, okay. Here we go. Right. I can see something's happening. We're about to get back on. Alrighty, here we go. So I'd like to give it a round of applause, please, for Josefina from Localistico.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Josefina from Localistico, Head of Marketing, and today I'm going to introduce you what we do at our company. So Localistico is a local marketing and analytics platform, and you might not know us, but you probably know the brands that we work with. So in the UK, for example, we've got Costa Coffee, we've got Morrison's, and what we do is get them online. So everything that you see of them in search platforms, we make sure that they appear. 90% of retail revenue still comes from in-store shopping, so this is a massive opportunity. And every time that someone searches for you digitally, they will attend your store like in the next few hours. And that's the main reason why we do what we do. One real example is what happened yesterday, for example, here. I think we were all roasting, and for example, my boss decided that he needed a fan. What did he do? He was like, he searched online, fan near me. And these are the real results that he got. So we can see that in these results, first of all, he sees like the paid ads, and he sees like the product placement. These ads show the nearby availability. Then he saw the ads with location extensions. Then he saw Google Maps and all the justifications. And finally, he saw the traditional web results, which are basically the blue links that we've known forever. All of this information is, we make sure that you appear. So from Google to Apple and all like the search platforms, we make sure that you are optimized enough so that you appear in the top search results. And in this journey, that the customer journey, we touch like 4 different points. The first one is search and discovery, so we make sure that the customers find you. Then that we track and we see that they engage with you. So for example, call like any sort of like call to actions, like ask for directions or call the store. Then they visit the store, and finally how they engage with you, leaving maybe a review or a like or sending you a message. And we've got products so that we cover all of this part. So basically, we divide like all of our modules in helping customers find you in all search platforms, analyzing what they do so that you can get all the metrics and you can do like review management and automate these and do it all in bulk. And finally, take action by launching all sorts of promotions, and you can do these from just one platform. And that is it. If you need any more information, I am here, so I'm more than happy to answer any of the questions that you might have. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Round of applause for Josefina. Thank you so much. Thank you. So Localistico, based around here by the front door to the House of Innovation. If you want to chat to her and the team, then please do. Okay, one down. We've got our next startup, which is going to be Measure, and we've got Owen from Measure. Can we give a big round of applause for Owen, please?
Oh, great. Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Owen from Measure. We're a consumer intelligence marketplace and platform, and we drive competitive advantage for brands, publishers, and media clients. We get asked quite a lot of times, and these are some literally questions over the last few days of, how do I search, how are search and discovery changing the habits of how my consumers are finding my brand, and what happens with ChatGPT or LLMs, are people using ChatGPT or Claude, or are they still using Google search? How does social behaviors from consumers vary against my competitive brands as well? And what are my consumers doing when they're not with me, i.e. when they're not purchasing your products, when they're not on your platforms? So these are just some of the questions that we get. And as I said, Measure Protocol is a consumer behavioral intelligence company, and we set about trying to solve a problem, which is that if you're a brand or a marketing person at a brand, then you have usually two ways of finding out what your customers do and what they say. One is surveys on the left-hand side, and they've been around 70 years. We all know what they are, but they have a flaw. And the flaw is that they're claimed. So if I ask everyone if they plan on taking a holiday this year, they'll all say yes. But actually, whether you do, what you spend on that holiday might not be what I answer in a survey. And in fact, about 30% of surveys have an overclaim, which is I'm going to do something, but actually I didn't ever get round to doing it. And on the, whichever way you are, right-hand side, you have data, masses of data. You can buy data from absolutely anywhere, but what does that data mean for your brand? And how do I get to process it? How do I get it to find an answer of what I'm actually looking for as a marketer? Well, that's wonderful if you've got hundreds of data scientists. Not so helpful if you want an answer very quickly. So at Measure, what we've built is a consumer behavioral only panel in the UK and the US. We have 20,000 consumers who participate daily in the UK, and 45,000 consumers who participate daily in the United States. They give us their search data, their LLM data, their browsing data, their purchase data, their social media data, all consented in order for us to build a holistic view of your customers. We can see 40,000 brands every single day, what your consumers are spending, what they're putting in their shopping baskets, what social media platforms they're using, literally how they spend their life online. And all you have to do as a brand is ask us a question, and our data will find an answer for you. I was speaking to Mars yesterday, and in fact, one of the Mars brands is a brand called Kind. It's literally a protein bar you buy at the supermarket at the end of the, when you're getting to the till. And they have a very small customer base. But we have the data on their brand, and I was able to show all of those Mars team exactly what people who buy Kind bars actually also do on TikTok, what social media channels they share, what social media content they're looking at, what websites they're going to, what their age and demographic and profile look like. They thought their consumers were just energy and protein users, but actually they're mums. They're not marketing to mums at all. Mums are buying their brands for their kids. So Mars are missing a massive opportunity in that sense, because actually all of their consumer targeting goes towards TikTok and Instagram around young consumers, 18 to 24, who are interested in well-being and lifestyle. But actually their consumers are someone slightly different. So this holistic view of how consumers spend their day gives you much more impact and much more information about how to think about not only how you target your brand, what your customer looks like, and what your competitors' customers look like as well. We're fortunate enough to work with some of the largest brands, Google, Meta, Netflix, the BBC, ITV, all use our data, either at a user level, which is all anonymized and consented, or at our dashboard level, so they can just log in, find their brand or their competitor brand, and actually understand where that journey, where that consumer came from, where they're going to, how they spend their time, so they can think about how to talk to them in a much more relevant way to their customer. As an example, this is how one of our brands uses ChatGPT to go from search through ChatGPT and what happened afterwards. So many consumers, you might believe, are still, only doing things via search. Well, about 20% of consumers are now using ChatGPT to remove the search from their world as well, and actually asking LLMs what happened prior to, what do I want to find, and they're using the LLM to do that rather than the search tools to do that. And so we can plot that journey of that consumer, where it came from, are they looking to build a recipe, and what are the things they need in that recipe, rather than just doing that via Google anymore. You can buy us 3 ways. If you really like data and you've got lots of data scientists, we'll happily sell you data as a single source, user level. You can build your own tools from it on the left-hand side. You can use the platform in the middle, which is a simple lookup platform, a SaaS platform, or on the right-hand side, very soon, you'll have a simple AI prompt, which will allow you to search our database and actually build you a whole marketing plan within the space of about 15 minutes. You can spit out a dashboard, so if you want to take it to your boss or other people in the company, then you can look like you're a genius in about 20 minutes time as well. So that's it, we're Measure. If you want to know what your consumers are doing, then please come and talk to us anytime. We're just here, behind the corner. I'm Owen, thanks.
Brilliant, thank you so much, Owen. Very interesting. We heard a stat yesterday that 93% of Gen Zs are using LLMs instead of SEO. So very much on the money there in terms of where the future's going. Okay, we're 2 down. We've got 3 more to go. I'd love to introduce Wayne from Resonance, who's going to be our 3rd startup. Please round of applause for Wayne.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Joel. Hello, everyone. I'm Wayne, one of the founding partners from Resonance. We're a language services company, so I just wanted to talk a little about language and communication in marketing. We consider ourselves a next-generation language services company because we use native linguists for all the specialist parts of translation, but then we leverage technology, be it traditional technologies or AI-driven technologies, to help produce assets and create purposeful linguistic content at scale, speed, and premium quality. I wanted to talk a little bit about the nuances and the difference between transcreation, one of our core subjects, and marketing translation. Now, they're both within the marketing ecosystem, but the difference being that if you're doing instructional information or information exchange, you will be using marketing translation. That's what most machine translation does. It doesn't think like a human. It takes literal sentences and converts them into language, not necessarily with the same meaning. Whereas transcreation, we use that and we do that for our clients when you want emotion and intent in your advertising. So if you've got brand campaign lines or your company line, you want people to have a feeling, an emote, an experience from that piece, and that's where transcreation comes in, because a literal translation wouldn't necessarily give you the same output. So transcreation for emotive, nuanced, or colloquial copy, or when you want to emote a response, right? We're in advertising, we're all trying to persuade people to make a decision for us. That's when transcreation comes in, because you want people to make a decision. Marketing translation, information exchange. Key considerations when you're doing global marketing. Obviously accurate translation, and again that goes with, if it's information exchange, machine translation, AI translation, perfectly fine, we use it. We make sure it's edited by a native speaker so that it actually makes sense. And also we talk about cultural sensitivity, and that's the transcreation element. So what happens if you don't consider those elements? Well, you get inaccurate translation and confusing messaging. So if you are not translating something properly and your messaging is confusing, you're going to lose your customer straight away. The way we like to think about that is, if you are someone learning a language, you will think the language in your native tongue and try and translate it as you go. Whereas when you get into a language properly, you no longer think before you actually say the language. So that's the difference between what a machine does and what a human does. It also means that you can end up with humour where there shouldn't be any. Now, the best remembered adverts are the humorous ones, but you don't want to be remembered for your advert being humorous when it shouldn't be. And sometimes there's offensive content. I can't say some of them on stage, but I have anecdotes from clients where they've used machine translation and it's come out quite badly, and we've had some awkward conversations with them about what their actual translated content means. And all of that leads to irreparable damage to your brand. And if you don't believe me, here's a really good example of a real-world situation where Parker Pens had a beautifully created tagline, "It won't leak in your pocket and embarrass you." And for Mexican Spanish, they used embarazar, which actually means to impregnate. So across all of their marketing material in Mexico, they were saying, "It won't leak in your pocket and make you pregnant." And that's a real-world piece. So obviously from a PR perspective, that's costing them thousands and thousands to actually correct, when all they needed to do was speak to a proper language services company with proper linguists and get it done properly in the first place. And then just for the cultural piece, it doesn't even have to be foreign language. So this, in the UK, nothing sucks like an Electrolux, we all get, right? Because it's the most powerful vacuum on the market. However, in the US market, that means a totally different thing. And they're basically saying their product is the worst one out of the whole range. Same words, different meaning, because the cultural nuances of language weren't taken into account across the different markets. So that's the language, and this is quickly about where we go here and why we're offering sort of new services and AI pieces, but why we think the people in the process, the linguist in the loop as we call it, is important. Here's a human talent voiceover that we did for a client. It was a couple of spots. It had 2 finished assets and a whole year's worth of usage across all channels.
Les balais d'essuie-glace hydrofuge Renex appliquent la magie de Renex à votre pare-brise. Ainsi, l'eau perle et se disperse. La technologie de perlage Renex améliorée dure plus longtemps pour une visibilité accrue. Renex, déjouez les éléments.
So that was a studio recorded piece of content with human talent. The following year, the client came back to us to renew the usage, but the talent wanted an extortionate fee for it. So instead, we created a synthetic voiceover, and this is the outcome.
Les balais d'essuie-glace hydrofuge Renex appliquent la magie de Renex à votre pare-brise. Ainsi, l'eau perle et se disperse. La technologie de perlage Renex améliorée dure plus longtemps pour une visibilité accrue. Renex, déjouez les éléments.
So realistically, not much difference in the output with a synthetic voice for a quarter of the price. If you want to do your language services properly, feel free to get in touch with us and we can help you out, even if it's from a consultation perspective. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wayne. All right, we've got 2 more to go. And we've just heard a little bit about some voice. Now we're going to move into moments of anticipation. So I'd love to welcome Nick de Jong to the stage from Next Destination Loyalty, who's going to talk to us about how to build anticipation as a brand. Round of applause for Nick, please.
Thank you very much. Picture this. It's a cold, wet morning, and you're making a hot cup of coffee. It's pouring with rain outside. You've got the radio on in the background, listening to Jamie and Amanda on the Heart Breakfast Show as you get ready for a long, grey commute. And then you hear a promo come on the radio. It's from Boots, and they're talking about getting ready for summer. You glance out the window, wondering where summer actually is, or if it's ever going to come. And then you hear, this week, you could be joining us in Ibiza. Sorry, bit of slide trouble here. Lying by a pool, cocktail in hand, and then partying the night away. Complete, of course, with a bottle of Boots Sultan, Factor 50. And just for a moment, we've taken you somewhere else. We've lifted you out of the everyday and dropped you into a dream. Did you enter? Maybe. Maybe not. But it doesn't really matter because something important already happened. You just felt something. You felt a moment of anticipation, a spark of possibility. And in that moment, whether you enter or not, you've formed a connection with the brand. Not through price, not through a discount or loyalty points, but through the power of anticipation. And if a brand can create that feeling regularly, and if they can connect with people like that throughout the year, they become more than just a retailer. They become an integral part of a customer's life. They become associated with moments of pleasure, moments that make people feel brighter. So when consumers go shopping, your brand is firmly at the top of their minds for all the right reasons. And helping brands harness the power of anticipation is exactly what we do at Next Destination Loyalty. We design and deliver awe-inspiring prize experiences from once-in-a-lifetime holidays embedded in prize promotions that connect your brand to your consumer. And we don't just do one-offs. We enable brands, we don't just do one-offs, we enable brands to move to always-on prize engagement. Because when you do it often, cleverly, consistently, that's when powerful connections happen. That's when people don't just notice you, they feel something about you. And at NDL, sorry about the slides. At NDL, we're bringing three important things together. Expert prize creativity, the right prize for the right audience at the right time. White glove winner management from prize design and delivery. Delivered via Promotigo, our proprietary platform that delivers the digital experience, collects the entries and manages compliance and enables brands to do this at scale. We're a fully managed service that partners with your team so you can focus on building your brand while we take care of the details. And we've been doing this for more than 28 years, working with brands including McDonald's, Orwin, Unilever, Global Radio, and the International Olympic Committee, across over 15,000 campaigns in more than 30 markets. So whether it's an enhancement to an existing loyalty program or creating moments like that Ibiza promotion on a rainy Monday morning, we create the feelings that move people to stop, imagine, smile, and connect. Thanks for listening. My name's Nick de Jong. I'm the founder and the CEO of Next Destination Loyalty. I'm here with my team today and tomorrow, so please come and say hi. Let's build something memorable together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Well done for persevering with the slides there. A bit of a battle. Well, wouldn't we all like to be in Ibiza? I mean, it felt like that yesterday, didn't it, in here? So we're in our final startup. We're moving from the world of loyalty into the world of how do you get your product into the hands of micro-influencers and use socials to really scale your reach. And lovely to welcome Tom from GIFTA to the stage, who's going to bring us home and talk to us about GIFTA. With a very funky device.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Tom. I'm the co-founder at GIFTA. 5 years ago, I worked in standard influencer marketing. I saw the huge amounts of money that influencers were getting paid, but also, most importantly, I saw what followed that money was control. It was the brands dictating to those influencers what they wanted to do, what they wanted to see. Those influencers would then send the content back for approval, and then eventually the brand would sign it off. My thoughts there were, we have to change this. We have to create a new way of delivering influencer marketing that does one thing, that drives trust. Consumers are losing trust with influencers because of these reasons, and we want to make sure that everything that we're driving in the future really has trust at the forefront of everything we're doing. GIFTA, for the last 5 years, has been gifting products out to micro-nano influencers through multiple different categories for lots of different brands. For agencies, from food brands to sports brands, all the way through to technology companies as well. Our mission is to make sure that we drive trust for these brands as much as we possibly can. So why gifting? Why are we even doing it? Firstly, we want to make sure that we allow consumers to discover brands at the forefront of everything we do. Now we're more than moving from just Google. We're looking at so many different platforms to make sure that we search for different products in different ways. We need to make sure that the product is everywhere in order for it to be found in the first place. The second is the bank of assets that it creates. When we work with 100 influencers, we can create 300 pieces of content. And what we want to do is make sure that content is easily accessible to the brands and allow them to amplify it in the best way they can for their business. And the third, as I say, is audience trust. We need to make sure that we build trust. People don't trust brands, they trust people. So we need to get the product into the hands of people so that they can tell their own story in order to build trust with consumers. At GIFTA, we've developed a full service in terms of everything related to influencer gifting. We have a really simple model at GIFTA to make sure that we drive 1, efficiency, and 2, performance. It's simply, if the influencer loves it, they're free to share about it. If they don't like it, they just need to tell us why they don't like it, so there's a value exchange. So most importantly, what we're doing here is we're treating the influencers like consumers first and influencers second. And that's how I believe the influencer marketing should be done. Because then we know that the influencer truly loves the brand, and then feel free to work with them on a paid and controlled basis in the future. We look after campaign strategy, influencer management, we do all the fulfillment, distribution, and personalization of all the products that we send out. It could be a pair of trainers, it could be a new packet of crisps, it could be cheese, it could be ice cream. We can deliver everything to the influencers within 24 hours in exactly the quality it needs to be delivered in. We look after all the tracking reporting, so we understand exactly what return on investment we've had on all of our campaigns that we've put out. We look after influencer feedback. More importantly, as well as having the content, we want to know, did the influencer enjoy the product? How can it be made better? What other competitors do they like in the market as well? What type of products would they like to see from these brands as well? And then finally, content ownership and amplification, and making sure that we amplify that content as far as we can to make sure that we get more brand awareness and sales on top of it as well. An always-on strategy allows the brands to move from not just campaign activity, but make sure that there's constant talking, constant discovery, and constant innovation with influencer gifting as well. We want to make sure that we are reactive as well. So when we have always-on activity, we can constantly send products out to influencers, and they can be updated on new products throughout the whole year. And seasonality as well. So we make sure that we use strategy to build out specific campaigns for brands throughout the whole year and not just campaign related as well. This is how we move from a single brand activation to looking at always on. We can distribute thousands of influencers out for a brand throughout the whole year. We can look at campaign activations, and we can look at always on activity too. We can align to a brand's business objectives, their marketing objectives. We can align to the agencies that they're working with as well to make sure everything is brought together into one place. Our database has just over 20,000 influencers on our platform, and we have so much data on each and every one of them. Someone just asked me a minute ago, Tom, how deep can we go in terms of data and choosing the right influencers for our campaign? We can look at influencer categories, so you can choose parents, you can choose beauty, you can choose lifestyle, but we can also go much deeper than that. We can look at where do they live, what are their ages, what are their interests and preferences, what are their dietary requirements, how big are their feet? Well, because we've run all these campaigns for them in the past. So ultimately, we have so much data on each and every one of them that we know exactly who to put the product into at exactly the right time for the brand as well. We also focus on how professional they've been in the past. Content quality is really important for us too. So even though it's gifted activity, we are still delivering a huge amount of quality content on everything we do too. Following size, we will work with anyone with 1,000 followers, maybe all the way up to 50,000, and our average is around 10,000. What we're finding now is that the size of the influencer doesn't matter. It's the content quality and the interest it gathers from the audience is what drives that content forward. So when we're running a campaign with 500 micro and nano influencers, we're spreading our chips. We're getting to learn the wonders of influencer marketing. But at the same time, we only need a few of those influencers to go viral, and we've completely blown out the water any activity you would get if you work with one macro for probably the same price. Every box is personalized. We look after all the fulfillment and distribution. We have 2 warehouses in the UK. We take pride in making sure that we put wonderful personalized boxes together for each and every one of the influencers we send products out to. And I highly recommend, whether you do this with an external partner or you do this yourselves, when you package off that box to send to that influencer for a gifted opportunity, please make sure you show them the love in order for them to show the love back. If they see a generic box with no notes, we're setting ourselves up for failure already. So we take so much care and attention to make sure that every box that goes out shows the love to that individual influencer. So when they open it, they can say, this was created for me specifically. And then that gives us a much bigger opportunity to gain that attention from that influencer in the future. Box designs, you can go into any level of box designs. You can have standard PR boxes, you can have box wraps, you can have stickers, or you can even go down to highly created boxes that hold individual products as well. So there's lots of different packaging options for lots of different brands and lots of different campaigns. Process. We have 2 warehouses in the UK. We take all the products in. We look after them in all separate places within the warehouse. Every brand has its own space. We look after huge amounts of products, thousands of thousands in a single week. We make sure that we check the products, we make sure that they're filled in the right time. We have fridges and freezers on industrial stages now, so we can send out all types of food stuff as well. We look after everything that goes inside the box, anything print related as well. And we make sure that the products are directly delivered to those influencers in enough time too. So all those aspects, again, just to make sure that regardless if you use an external partner or yourselves, making sure that we put wonderful boxes together is really important. The final piece of the puzzle is the return on investment, is making sure that we track and report on every piece of content that's been generated. So we know who posted, when they posted, we know who's driven the most impressions, who's driven the most engagements, and potentially who do we want to work with in the future that may have value for us and for future campaigns too. And most importantly, we need to make sure that our reporting is of such a high standard so the stakeholders within every brand and agency we work with can see the direct return on investment on everything we're doing. The feedback that we gather from influencers is really important too, and we highly recommend that if you do influencer gifting internally yourselves, or again, if you want to work with somebody else, make sure you ask lots of questions at the end of the campaign too. So regardless if they've created content or not, ask them, what do they think about the brand? What do they think about the product? Do they utilize any competitors' products? Where would they buy those competitors' products? Would they like to see different recipes? Would they like to see different flavors? Utilize them as a qualitative market research tool and not just as a content output tool, which is really important too. Amplification of content is really important. So on our campaigns, we usually see around 3 pieces of content per influencer, quality pieces of content, usually around a main account post and stories. So with 100 influencers, you're normally seeing around 300 pieces of content. With 1,000, you're normally seeing 3,000 pieces of content. There is so much content there that we want to make sure that we amplify that content as far as we can. You can either do this in-house or you can work with external partners too, but making sure that we amplify it to wider audiences in order to drive further awareness and sales is really important too. I've got so many different case studies that I can show you. We're just around the corner and we can show you some of the brands that we work with. One brand that we've just finished working with on our second campaign is Hoover. And I've actually brought one of the Hoovers here with me today, which is sat on this table. So many people have come up to me and go, what is that? And this is the point. Nobody knew what this was. This is a mattress Hoover. Hoover sold 500 mattress Hoovers the whole of last year. And they came to us and they said, we're struggling to sell these. And the point is, Hoover are struggling to sell them because nobody knows what they are. So what we did is we gifted these out to 500 micro and nano influencers across the whole of the UK 2 months ago. And within 4 weeks, we'd sold multiple thousands of units. And that's because these influencers were taking the products at home, they were putting them straight onto their mattresses, and their friends and family, the ones that are closest to them, were watching them clean their mattress in a single swipe and seeing what it was bringing up. And all of a sudden, people realized that they needed something that they didn't even think they needed before. So we're moving to a modern day version of QVC because we have the ability for micro nano influencers to apply the product to their everyday lives, and their family and friends, the ones they trust the most, say, okay, I need that as well. So from Hoovers to gifting to thousands of influencers for Dove, driving thousands and millions of impressions, all the way through to sending out hundreds and hundreds of pots of yogurt for Yo Valley as well. Our post rate is always around the 80 to 85% mark. We're driving millions of pieces of content, millions of pieces of engagement, and making sure that we drive as much trust with consumers as we possibly can. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. And as you know, if you want to see the Hoover in action, Tom's just round the corner here. He can give you a demo, although we probably don't have a mattress. Guys, thank you so much. Oh, you can use it on the floor. Great. Thank you so much. Next bit of content is we've got UCG Masterclass at 1:30, and then we've got the Clarins Brand Challenge back here, the Brand Innovation stage at 2 p.m. So go and enjoy lunch, and we'll see you shortly.